Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we're taking a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 82. Wow, there is no way this chapter was a whole 27 pages long. Alright, well, of course it was, but it did not, like most of Matsumoto's chapters, it flowed so quickly that it did not feel that long. Now, in this chapter, Matsumoto completely avoided any 2-page spreads and only did 2 1.5-page spreads. So there's a lot going on in this chapter, but it just felt so fast. Now, why did it feel so fast? That's because, well, again, this is a spoiler-free section. And this chapter, it had a major one of Matt's corkscrew plot twists. Again, I call it a corkscrew plot twist because in the end, we all know where the plot is going. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is a Shonen Jump combat manga. It's stuck solidly in the military Shonen Jump combat manga genre. We all know eventually where the story is going. So in order to get us surprises, in order to keep us interested and engaged, Matsumoto has to take the plot and corkscrew it around that primary vector. And this chapter had a major corkscrew plot twist. And I won't even go into what I was expecting it to do because, anyway, this movie I watched, it was an aviation movie. You have all of the characters on the plane, and of course the people in ground control, but something goes wrong on an airplane. In this instance, it was set up as a structural failure in the airplane. The fuselage of the airplane, that thin aluminum skin that protects all of the passengers, ripped, and the cabin depressurized, and of course you have the buildup where you get to know everybody getting on the plane, you have the captain, you have the stewardesses. This one was based on a true story where somebody actually died, so they had to be respectful of that, but anyway, you have the thing. Something goes wrong with the plane, and you have the passengers trapped in their seats. And their job, their task, is to remain calm and react to the situation. That's their role in the movie, while their world is literally falling apart around them. And of course, the main heroes are the captain, the co-pilot, the co-pilot, and the stewardesses. And you've got these strong images that linger in your brain. The stewardess desperately clinging to the base of the seat as the pressure difference tries to suck her out of the airplane. And of course, the necessary flashback scene. Because you have the pilot and co-pilot under a tremendous amount of stress. They've got to react to the situation. And so they flash back to their training. And it's just a short scene that shows you what's giving them the strength and the power to overcome this. Now, this is a classic trope in any situation. Basically, it defines the airplane tragedy genre. Another training flashback. In the movie, it all fades to a hazy sepia tone, but in a manga, it's different. Which makes sense. When it comes right down to brass tacks, any human being who's reacting to an emergency, to a tragedy, has to rely on instincts and training. And instincts work really, really well for, say, a deer being chased by a cougar. Because the cougar is charging at this deer in a straight line, the deer's best bet is to freeze and hold its nerve and hold its position until right before the cougar is committed to the leap, and then the deer lunges sideways. Now, this is instinctive in a deer. They'll do this when any threat is bearing down on them. And this works really, really well for predators like cougars. That's why the deer is hardwired to that. But I think a lot of us have been out on the road and we've seen the deer freeze in the headlights as the car is approaching, and you know that deer is either going to jump left or right. If it's a cougar that's trying to eat it, that's a really, really good tactic because it gets it out of the cougar's way and saves the deer's life. If it's a car, not so much. The deer has a 50-50 chance of either escaping with everybody unharmed or causing a bad day for a whole bunch of people if it chooses the wrong way to jump. And so instinct doesn't really work in these situations. You have to rely on training. And so it's perfectly logical for the scene to flash back to training, be it an airplane disaster movie for a Western audience or a manga. Now, the reason I think that this particular chapter went by so fast, even though there was a lot of information, a lot of plot development, a lot of character building and world building in it, is that we've trained ourselves as an audience to not exactly write off those flashback training scenes, but to kind of mentally phase them out into that sepia tone. And so that's why I think this chapter felt so short. Even though we got a bunch of character development for this one character, it was the logical place to put it, because this character is, after all, just not even a secondary character, a tertiary character. And so this was a perfectly logical, technically sound place to put a flashback. So we get the flashback, we see what motivates the character, and we see the character rise to the situation, utterly fail, because after all, this is a tertiary character, not the main character, and the opponent they're fighting is a second level boss. And then we have the plot twist. So we've got all of this character development, we've got the classic training montage flashback, and then the major plot twist of the chapter. Now, I call this a corkscrew plot twist. It's still advancing the main plot in the exact same direction that what I expected to happen was going to happen, and looking back at how the chapters have been developing, at the way Matsumoto's been weaving the relationships, at how Matsumoto had positioned everyone's attention, not their bodies, but their attention. Yes, this makes perfect sense in retrospect, making it a perfect plot twist, because I did not see it coming. I was expecting a certain thing to happen, and it does happen, but it happens between two completely different characters than I was expecting. This is also complicated, I think, by the time frame. This is all happening very, very quickly, and the amount of mental energy we've focused on to certain battles has kind of warped our sense of the amount of time that has passed. But that being said, what did you think of this chapter, my wonderful viewers? Did you see this playing out this way? Did you see the characters joining up that did join up? Or were you expecting something else to happen? Hit that like and subscribe button. Tell me what you think in the comments below the video. Go check out my books, Humans Are Weird, Let's Work It Out, available on Google, Indiegogo, Barnes & Noble. Also, I've just gotten my book up on Ingram Sparks if anybody's interested in buying it for a bookshop or anything. But hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.